Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. It's the Gold Goats and Guns half hour here on YouTube. My name's Tom Luongo. I hope you're all having a great day. It's going to be an interesting one today. Let's get right to it. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? Yeah, this is going to be one of those. I'm going to try and keep it. I'm going to try and stay at least reasonably calm. I am not happy with Trump's pullout of the Iran nuclear deal. But I understand why he did it. I don't think it's going to get him what he wants. That's the main reason I'm not happy about it. Unlike most of the people who are okay with this or who argued for it in the first place, I actually have a post I just put up this morning because that while this has been going on, while we've been pushing towards this moment for the last couple of months now, I haven't really had a good handle on how I felt about this particular thing, this particular issue, because I never really understood why it mattered in today's context. I mean, I understood it in 2012, I understood it in 2015, and it was only really this morning, while I was faced with looking at the situation as it's currently constituted today, that I came to understand what I think is actually going on here. So I've got a post up on my blog over at goldgoatsandguns.com, and if you are a first-time watcher, I heartily recommend you check that out. The link to the article is in the show notes below, and we can go from there. And the article is firmly about what's Trump going to get out of this, because I don't really care about where we came from or where we've been or where we're technically what's going to what's led up to this. I don't care who signed the deal or who didn't sign the deal or whether it was done by executive. I don't care about any of that stuff. I don't care about the pallets of cash or any of that crap. And I'll be honest with you, and I'll tell you why. Because all of that is now in play. And when you go over the history of everything, and this is what I did this morning, I kind of went through the whole thing, and it's a long article. It's almost 1,800 words. You go through the entire history on this, and you think about it in terms of the Syrian regime change operation and what the Iran sanctions regime in 2012 was actually all about, then everything kind of falls into place. The original point of sanctioning Iran to the point of kicking them out of the SWIFT system and trying to effect regime change in 2012 was to isolate Syria. Now, it shouldn't be news to anybody, but we really haven't put it in those terms in the past. The point was to isolate Syria. If you could get regime change, if you could get the Iranian regime to fall, then it would make it that much easier for Syria to fall, because now you would destroy Iran, you would unleash the Kurds all across from Turkey all the way into Iraq and into northern Iran. You could atomize Syria, put it in the hands of Salafist Wahhabi head choppers, and isolate Hezbollah in Lebanon. That was the goal. And then on top of that, there was the pipelines, and there's Russia, and there's all those other things that go along with it. And for a long time now, I've been analyzing this purely almost from the Russian perspective. And so I never really thought about it from, frankly, I did see it from the other side, but now it's like putting the whole thing together. So when you put it together and you frame the history of the sanctions and then the JCPOA together, it all starts to make a lot more sense. Because when we were negotiating that deal, when John Kerry and Obama were negotiating that deal, okay, it was obvious at that point everybody wanted back into Iran. They figured the Syrian operation was a success. Assad was about to fall. Everything was going according to plan. No one, we had buried the bodies deep enough and the money trail deep enough that no one credible had put together the idea that we were behind ISIS in Syria. right? And in 2015, everybody was talking about we need to get ISIS, we need to get rid of ISIS, we need to do this, we need to do that. And when we were on the verge of winning in Syria and the Assad regime was going to fall, that's when Obama made the international call for help, build an international coalition to wipe ISIS off the map in Syria. We could install our puppet there, or Israel's puppet there, and everything would work out beautifully. The Saudis and the Qataris could bring pipelines into Turkey, which would then go into Europe, which would damage Russia and Gazprom, who were suffering now at that point under sanctions and the whole 9 yards, right? Both sanctions thanks to Crimea and low oil prices and everything else. And they were dealing with the after effects of the ruble crisis from 2014. Everything was going our way. Everything looked perfect. So there's no reason not to believe that we weren't going to win there. And moreover, that making a deal with Iran and allowing them back into the global economy actually makes sense at that point. So it actually makes a lot of sense at that point if you really stop to think about it, because Europe wanted access to the Iranian oil markets, and there was no reason to believe that we weren't going to get long-term regime change in Iran anyway.